All right. So while you're pouring up,
I don't know.
Joe, your signature "Joe's gonna kill you" chant became synonymous with your intimidating persona. So what's one match or moment when you fully realized how much that chant like resonated just beyond your character?
That's interesting. I mean, TNA was a pretty wild ride, like early on, because it's kind of where a lot of my fan base was kind of garnered. It's where I kind of made my splash, I guess, on the national scene. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, I think kind of going into the matches with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels at the time, when the chant started to pick up, and it really took a life of its own. I mean, it was never something I ever said in a promo. It was never anything that I had kind of preempted the crowd or prompted the crowd to say.
You never said it.
I mean, I think I've used it once in a promo, and that was like months after it had already been chanted. And if anything, like, I said that, shout out to Taz, man, that originally started as an ECW chant. Taz, and, and I think if anybody, like, ROH very much filled that void in the Northeast area when ECW collapsed, and, meant much of that fan base that was sitting in the front row at ECW shows, especially in early ROH, were sitting right there at those early ROH shows, and they brought a lot of that culture with them. So that was definitely one of the chants that migrated from the ECW era into the TNA, into the ROH and the TNA era.
The anthem, the BDC anthem, when we had the BDC, mm-hmm. I said, Pavlov's dog got us waiting at the bell. Joe is going to kill you. That's what they yell. And, like, one of the things that early on, like, I was a Samoa Joe fan before I met Samoa Joe. And the match that did it for me, that really opened my eyes and made me go like, yo, was the match with you and Key. When you guys started taking the wrist tape off, and MMA wasn't even popular yet. Like, MMA was still like growing, but that was the first time I had ever seen in a wrestling match when you were just pummeling Key, and the ref came in with the wave off stoppage. It was like, no one had done that in wrestling yet. And I remember seeing that and going like, I want to do that. And no one had done that to Low Key. So Joe comes in, and so, from my perspective, two things happened. One, Low Key was a dude who defended his boundaries vigorously, to quote Kenny King. And if Key agreed to do that, then there was a measure of respect, because he ain't gonna do that just for anybody, And to have that kind of finish where it was in pro wrestling, it was a referee wave off, like, no, the TKO, like, stop the carnage.
You're killing him.
I had never seen that before. And just that moment when they were like, oh, so we hitting now. Okay, let's take this, let's peel it. And I was like, yo. So what Samoa Joe did in Ring of Honor at that time, what Key was doing, where these guys were bringing in these Japanese elements to American wrestling, they were the pioneers of that shit. And I would fuck with Joe and Key all the time. I said, you guys fucked up the indies, man, because everyone's trying to do what you guys do. They just don't know how. They're not very good at it.
No, we did, and we take full responsibility. And credit to Key. I mean, I think he was one of those rare talents that kind of saw the same things that I did, and that I wanted to see in pro wrestling. And there's a certain aesthetic to violence that's just kind of raw and unfiltered and not very clean and not very choreographed and beautiful, that people just have a visceral reaction to. Listen, I don't like to overstate the environment I grew up in or the people that I was around.
Oh, you hit me with my favorite quote of all time. On the VIP Lounge podcast back in the day with Greeny, when Joe was a guest, or I don't know if you were a guest or if I repeated what you said.
I think we were just talking. Yeah,
this is my favorite, one of my all-time favorite fucking quotes. Please.
Listen, I've never been in a street fight in my life, but I may have been involved in a few assaults.
I ain't never been in a street fight, but I've been in some assaults.
But getting back to that, it was a rare opportunity to get in there and get with a dude who, kind of understands that mentality and like, it was a different niche. I think, the lucha libre style and the high flying beauty of that was very, very prevalent throughout the independent scene and throughout the world. And I just wanted to bring something back from just that grimy, gritty, nasty, brawling style that like, and kind of, update it, modernize it a little bit, bring some more visceral martial arts elements that you see in modern combat sports these days, and mix that into the mix, and try to create something different, something special for the fans to see.
And it was.
Thank you, man.
Because I was an active wrestler at the time. And I saw that and I went, I want to do that. Tackle, drop down, kick him in the face. And oh yeah, that's what I want to do. So that dude, and it really can't be overstated, the influence that Samoa Joe has had. It's like I said, I was a fan of Samoa Joe before I met Samoa Joe. And he was a guy that I always wanted to work with. And I will always regret that we never had a chance to really cross
have a program.
Yeah, And I remember when we were on the Indies, when it was FIP,